Hello and welcome back to the British and Irish Eagles podcast. I'm your host, Liam O'Neill. I am not joined by anyone right now. Phil is having some technical difficulties and we've got a very limited amount of time to get this podcast in before I need to head out for the evening. We're recording this late already on a Friday. We've all had some busy weeks, but that will not stop us getting a British and Irish podcast in the bank for you all, and hopefully you can all get to listen to it on Saturday or Sunday before the late night game, as the Eagles are going to play against the Detroit Lions, one of the best teams in the National Football League right now. So naming this podcast, Defenses Win Championships, to give you a bit of an overview of what we're going to get through here today. We're going to talk very briefly. I say we, me, or Phil, hopefully if he joins. We're going to talk about the game, the close game against the Packers, which was 10-7. This Monday night just gone by. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the damn right sexy. And then, of course, we'll do a very quick preview of the Lions game coming up. It's going to be a shorter podcast. I'm hopeful that Phil will be able to join us and speak at some point. But for now, I'm gonna keep trucking on until we can see if he can get in to speak to us. Right. So a reminder before we go into, if you want to come on and be a guest of our podcast in the future, let us know. We have coming up the Cardiff, Glasgow, and Passyunk watch-alongs for the 76ers and the Eagles versus Cowboys events in the next few weeks. And yes, get yourself along to those if you haven't already been to a watch-along. They are fantastic. Great time to meet like-minded Eagles fans and 76ers fans and Flyers fans as well, to enjoy the games and connect. So before we get into the good, the bad, and the damn right sexy, let's give a bit of a quick overview of how the game went. Defensive win championships. You know, we started a podcast out by saying that, and I'll be the first to admit that, you know, a couple of years ago, Mr. Tony Burton, who I'm sure will be listening in, pointed out that defenses win championships. And I said, Tony, you know, the last 10 years, defenses don't win championships anymore, right? Offensive wins championships. But the way the Eagles performed last year, getting to the Super Bowl, obviously the Super Bowl itself, the offense and the defense balled out. But getting there was a lot to do with that defensive performance and a lot to do with Saquon Barkley and the offensive line. And, of course, Jalen Hurts as well. And I have to say, that win against the Packers on Monday night, if that doesn't show that defenses help to win championships and perhaps do win championships, then, you know, I really don't know what else does. Set the tone, headed towards the playoffs. And, look, it wasn't the greatest game offensively to watch. But I kind of always felt, and I think most people felt, that the Eagles were going to eke out that win, and they were to get that win, and they managed to do that in the end. And some fantastic performances from Jalen Phillips on his debut, from most of the defensive line, to be quite frank. He had a stellar game, and while the O-line is not having its peak performances as you would hope, you know, the Packers defense was up for it. It was a big game for them. I called it before that it was going to be a close game. I said it wouldn't be a blowout, and it wasn't. You know, we've beaten them multiple times now. They voted against the tush push. It was pretty early in the game when we rolled that play out, but the Eagles got the job. All right, so let's get into the meat and bones of it a little bit here with the good, the bad, and the damn right sexy. I'll start off with the bad. And I'm afraid, again, we have to call out the offensive play calling by Kevin Batula. Some bizarre play calling, some bizarre decision-making by Nick Sirianni as well. You know, I mean, you know what I'm going to say. I mean, that play at the end was ridiculous. You know, what is Sirianni calling that through? I'm not buying into the rhetoric and the rumors about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown going off script, because I just don't think you can go off script in a moment like that. You can go off script if you're second or third down and you're trying to change up the play. I get that you might see something. You don't change the script from a punt to a throw, all right, to a passing attempt. You don't do that. So I'm not buying into that. Sirianni, you need to own these things a bit more, I'm afraid, my friend. Come out, just say you made the wrong play, move over, move on, get on with it. We'll forgive you. But all right, Phil, have we got you there?
Can you hear
See if
me?
you can speak for a sec. Say that. Speak again.
Can you hear me?
Very, very low. But we'll see if we can try it. Let me see if I can increase your volume here, Phil. Why don't you try again there for us?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can hear you perfectly.
What the hell was going on there then?
I have no idea. I just turned your volume up on the right hand side here, and I can hear you. I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, that's good. That's the main thing. Let's get on with the show. Sorry, folks, for that.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I was fumbling through the first few minutes.
Yeah, I know. I was listening to it going wrong. He's dying. I'm joking. He's not.
Yeah, so I was just saying, Sirianni's play calling, Phil. I'll pause there, pass it over to you. Um, I'm a big defender of Sirianni. I love the guy. He needs to own this as a bad decision. I'm not buying it. Throwing to make it deeper in their territory only works if AJ Brown catches the ball. It doesn't work if the pass goes incomplete. What were your thoughts on Sirianni's play calling there?
It doesn't feel like enough's been made of the rumors that, well, not the rumors. I feel like it's been laid out there that AJ and Jalen were the ones that went with this.
No, you might have missed it just before that. I don't think so. No, the
Well,
reason
you don't think so, but it does feel a little bit like Jalen has done that at times this season. It's not always worked, and we know from the Seahawks game last year that they did this very much a similar thing, and it didn't work out. And it's like you don't have control. It's the only thing that you don't have control over on the field. So it does feel like a plausible explanation,
I think
if
it's a
anything.
plausible explanation if it's second or third down and they change the play that they see to a different play. So they change it from a design run to a bomb on second or third down. I can't see a player going off script when the coach calls a punt to then call a pass.
Yeah, I think, yeah, okay, maybe you're right, because at the end of the day, it was fourth down after a
Yeah,
timeout, and
yeah,
at least the coach does have control over which team is on the field, whether it's the special
yeah,
teams or the offense. So you can argue that maybe they decided that they were going to go for it, but Jalen could still have audibled to a different, rather than a run play going, he's seen something and it's passed. It's all plausible, but
yeah.
it
It
doesn't
was a
take
bad
away
decision,
from it's a bad decision. And I,
regardless.
I
Yeah,
keep saying, like, people are like, oh, it's too close to punt. Yeah, it's too close to punt, but they would have gained 15 yards from punting through the end, like into the end zone, like just punting
yep.
it wherever they could.
Mm-hmm.
They would have
Mm-hmm.
gained another 15 yards. So surely the smartest safe play would have been that. And it doesn't matter, like, what's a touchdown to well, it would touchdown, or it would have increased the field position. Maybe had a field goal at that. It wouldn't have changed much. I just think the safe play.
Kick a field goal. Like, come on, what are we
Well, I
doing
can see
here?
why they didn't. Like, there was a bit of an issue around the kicking. There was a strong win. You could see when McManus went to kick his final field goal, the wires holding up the net at the end were dancing
Mm.
around quite a bit at the end. So you can kind of see, like, you miss a field goal, you give them even better field position than they had. So you kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do you try to eke out a little bit more field position, or do you kind of go, let's kick the field goal if we get 6 points? Because at the end of the day, 6 points doesn't stop them from going down and scoring a touchdown, converting it to win.
Yeah.
It's a hard position to be in, but I think it's unanimously agreed it was a bonehead decision, and yeah, whoever's to blame seriously
Is
needs.
this the first entrance into the Bonehead
Well, yeah, it would be.
Cafe?
It would
Oh.
be if I knew who to put in there.
We'll put them all in there.
Yeah, the whole coaching staff,
We'll put them
Jalen
all
and
in there
AJ can all go in there just for the timeout.
just for the week, just for this week during the Bonehead Cafe. I like to see the Bonehead Cafe get an appearance back on the
Been a while.
podcast. It's been a while. And Kevin Batula's play calling, I kind of touched. I feel so much better here on the podcast with me now. Kevin Batula's play calling as well. We're still running on third and long. What are you doing, KP? What are you doing? Like, God, man, I thought we passed that. Buddy.
I feel like I thought we'd moved past it. Like you said, it felt like AJ was saying, like, hey, it's not KP. There's just there's like a culmination of personalities. There's been a void left in the offensive coordination side of the team, and everyone's trying to sort of make it sway their own way. Jalen's trying to make it work despite, Kevin Patullo's inexperience, getting his feet under the table. It felt like we kind of moved a little bit past that, maybe not completely out of the woods and into a place where we're happy with the offense, but we were sort of out of the, my God, is he playing it safe for the rest of the season? And does he only have 3 plays in the playbook? We kind of thought we'd come out of that, but maybe not. And the whole AJ stream where he's like, KB's got to go and he's laughing, whether your interpretation of that, whatever it is, I'm not reading too much into it, but it doesn't help when your star wide receiver is on a Twitch stream, just basically kind of going, yeah.
Well, let's just go straight to it, Phil, because this is not a long podcast. We've only got another 20 minutes or so to go. So, I'm going to AJ Brown, and you just give me the floor for 2 minutes here, please. The podcast note says AJ fucking Brown. AJ fucking Brown, what are you doing, bro? This is a team game. I'm not buying all this crap. T.O. was on the Good Morning Show today in Philadelphia saying that AJ should be getting his reps, should be getting his targets. I watched the interviews. I watched AJ Brown's interview. What he's saying isn't bad, but it's the way he's going. Either. No, it's not good to be here. It's not terrible, but it's the way he's going about it. Like, just shut up, bro. Just stop talking. Like, he can't help himself, Phil. Like, and I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way to AJ. I'm saying this as someone who wants to see him succeed. Just close it. Just close the mouth. Stop going on and whinging about you not getting the ball, right? I get that most wide receiver ones in the league don't get the ball, but you're not playing like a wide receiver one either. You're not putting the effort in. You're dropping catches. There's uncharacteristic play. If AJ Brown caught every pass that was thrown his way and was lighting it up, then I'd be on AJ's side. And I'd get it. I'd say, what are the offensive doing? Not utilizing. Devontae Smith is having a better season than AJ Brown. Devontae Smith is catching more balls than AJ Brown. Devontae Smith has more yards, more targets than AJ Brown, and rightly so. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, the wide receiver one in Philadelphia is Devontae Smith. There is no denying that. In this season, I'm not saying long-term. I'm not saying talent-wise. I'm not saying historically. But right now, Devontae Smith is wide receiver one in Philadelphia. And until AJ Brown stops mouthing off on social media, on Twitch, on gaming, streaming channels, and saying that it's not about the win, but he's contradicting himself. He said, he's like, it's all about the win. And he's like, it's not all about the win. It's about contributing to the win. That's just selfish behavior. That's like me working on, sorry, Phil, just give me one more second. That's like me working on an RFP in my world, or my team working on an RFP to win a piece of business in what I do for work. And the team win it, but I don't get a shout out that I lead the team, or I don't get a shout out that I did the dirty work to help them go. Right? It's petulant. It's about the team. And Jalen Hurts is coming out. Last thing I promise. Jalen Hurts came out on his interview. He could tell he's kind of fed up by the whole thing. He was asked, what do you think about AJ? And he said, well, he basically said, I'm going to put a stop to that. Now, he could have been talking about the media questions, talking about it, but he basically said, I'm going to put a spot to that. It's team first. It's team first. It's always team first. I'll stop.
I'm trying to address everything, but yeah. You're not wrong. There's one or two things potentially happening. Either he is having his fun because he's realized there's no fighting it. You might as well enjoy it and do what you can to sort of entertain yourself. Like, doesn't matter what he does, he's going to get questions and people are
again selfish.
Yeah, or he really doesn't like it and he's just venting. And in which case, like, he's a big advocate of mental health, and it's a really sensitive subject, and I really do want to tread carefully. But there is also the element of, it's like he is definitely making things harder for himself, whether he knows that, whether he's aware of that, whether he's doing it deliberately or not. He could do, as you've mentioned, Devontae Smith has now kind of risen and is sort of peaking ahead as the wide receiver one, at least for this season, possibly for the future as well, depending how the rest of the season goes. He is a classic. Devontae Smith is the example of keep your head down, I don't want to say keep your mouth shut, because that sounds like in a negative way. I just mean, like, literally, you know, we all say, like, just don't rock the boat. Just kind of focus on what you've got to
have
do.
a positive attitude towards the
Positive
team rather than a
impact.
negative impact and attitude.
And just be like, just take your chances, and then like keep your powder dry, and then
Yeah.
in the off season, when you've got chance to sort of go, last season was terrible, I hated everything about this, and I want this to change, I want this to change. During the season, everyone lives and dies by every little whim and comment and analytics and word and interview. It's like, you don't need to do it. You're creating more of a situation for yourself to have to deal with, and whether you are, that's your intention or not, like you said, it's selfish if it's intentional, or if it's accidental. He needs someone to step in and say, "Look, we're just going to put you on a media ban for a few weeks. Just don't get yourself into any more situations where you feel like you have to justify or over explain. Don't go on Twitch streams." It's like, I kind of, it's instances like that that make me remember that, you know,
CJ
I'm
Gardner Johnson behavior, like
but
that's
I'm in my mid-30s, and I have an older head on me. So I look
it's
at it and go,
true.
why are you being so stupid? He is what, 27, 26, 27. And when I was 26, 27, would I have had that mental ability to sort of be that mature? Possibly, probably not. So I kind of have to give him a little bit, but at the same time, it's a multi-million-dollar organization. You would have thought they'd be able to train him, to manage
Yeah.
him, to help him, to support him if it's unintentional, or to get him to bloody stop if it's intentional. If he's fucking with the media, don't do it anymore. Just stop.
No, I know because it's hurting the team. It's making a circus of the Eagles, and it's driving attention away from everything else. Maybe that's the intention. I don't know. We know
Mm.
that Sirianni and Howie have had history of trying to draw attention away from poor performances with, oh, look over here, no, look over here, look over here. Um, and Phil, I've actually seen Jamal tomorrow.
Okay.
Me and Tony are
Ask him
heading
what the
to.
hell's going on.
Well, I will, but I'm hoping Big Dom will be around and I can pop my head in and say hello because we've obviously met him a few times, and I'm definitely going to cheekily ask because you said hopefully someone's going to go and have a word, and if you're looking on social media, Big Dom and Jeffrey Lurie had a conversation with AJ this week. Now,
I would have thought so.
that's for show. I'm sorry. If you're gonna have a conversation with AJ Brown, you do it in Jeffrey Lurie's office, or you do it if you don't want people to know about it. If you want the world to know that you're having a conversation with AJ Brown, then you do it on the practice field where all the media are. I don't know if anyone else has picked up on that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's clearly planned.
it's clearly planned, right? Everyone needs to remember that Jeffrey Lurie is he's a filmmaker, for God's sake. Right? He understands drama and narratives and stories and perceptions and
Pictures speak a
all of
thousand
that stuff.
words. There's no point. You can say as much as you
Yeah,
want. People just don't believe what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
Sirianni can stand up there and say AJ's fine until he's blue in the face. No
Mm-hmm.
one's going to believe him.
But it is funny because there's not many times Jeffrey Lurie comes down to the practice field. Jeffrey Lurie was down in the practice field towards the end of Doug Peterson's tenure as the head coach, and it was clear that he was coming down to see what the hell was going on. He was down on the practice field towards the end of Carson Wentz's tenure at the Eagles. He was down on the practice field when Brian Johnson and Matt Patricia were doing well. Guess what? He's down on the practice field when
Crisis management.
Yeah, it is. It has to be. I mean, that's what he is, the owner of the team. And some people say owners get too involved. I don't mind if Jeffrey Lurie gets involved in a team. He's a super smart, intelligent, nice guy. He gets it. He's been around the block. He's not. When he interferes, I think it's a positive for the Eagles, not a negative.
You need that. It's the same as any kind of discipline function, is that you have to have that escalation. And it feels like the Jeffrey Lurie is like that. If Jeffrey Lurie is coming down the practice field, you're in trouble. And if AJ doesn't maybe get that impression going, like, this is the storm that you've kicked up, that you've now got the owner coming down to chat to you. If that doesn't register, then we're out of options, and that probably will signify if things don't improve. You can damn right that there's already plans in motion for trading, how they're going to manage the cap. Because I know people keep saying that they can't get rid of him. They will get rid of him. They will not keep him. They will find a way to do it. And
I
Jeffrey
couldn't agree
Lurie will
more.
not
I mean,
have that in his organisation.
when we got rid of Wentz, everyone said there's no way we could get rid of Wentz because look, they'll find a way. They'll find a way. And I'm AJ Brown. If you ever see one of our podcasts or watch our podcast or listening in, please know that I'm not. None of us are saying this as a bad thing about your character as you as a human. We're just commenting on we think you're going about it the wrong way, and it's affecting you negatively from a mental health standpoint, and I'm not helping the team. And I don't think anyone thinks AJ Brown is a bad guy.
No.
You know, he's a great guy. You know, he's a fantastic wide receiver. And it was while watching his interview the other day, like he you saw a bit of human element. He turned around, he said, you know, he said, this is all tough. You know, this isn't easy. He said, this is hard. You know, having to comment on this, having to keep all that kind of stuff. So, hey, let's hope it turns around. You know, AJ Brown, 125 yards and 2 touchdowns coming on Sunday night. I wish I could say.
I feel like I've said that every week.
I know. I wish I could say. I wish I could say I believe those words coming out of my mouth. But all right. Anyway, we got limited time left. Let's move on here. And we'll go to the good part of the good, the bad, and the damn right sexy. Quinyon Mitchell, 3 forced incompletions, 2 pass breakups. Felt like he had a game locked up, was all over the field. Nakobe Dean, we're not talking about Nakobe Dean enough. He's bringing that energy, that speed, that tenacity, that drive, that oomph that this defense was missing at the start of the season. We're going to talk about Jalen Phillips in a minute and what he brings. This Eagles defense has been way better since Nakobe Dean came back. Way, way better. Shout out to Brian Steffi listening in. Brian, why did you leave the Eagles chat? Question 1. 2, you didn't believe Nakobe Dean would be the player he would be this year, and you were wrong, my friend. I know we message about that often. Nolan Smith came back from an injury, had 1 sack, 2 tackles, and a QB hit. I didn't talk about Nakobe Dean's stats: 7 tackles, 1 sack, 1 QB hit, 1 tackle for loss. I mean, come on, Nakobe, bringing it. Defense really stood up, Phil. How do you feel about this defense? You titled this podcast "Defensive Wins Championships." Is the way the defense is performing now giving you confidence that they can carry the offense when they need to?
Yeah, and it's kind of echoes what we had in 2 years ago now. There was quite some questionable offensive performances 2 years ago on the way to the Super Bowl, and we were kept in a few games because of the defense. And
2 years ago? You mean last year?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Last year.
Don't wish your life away, Phil. Don't wish your life away.
But yeah, so like last year, those things still apply. It's the Jalen. I won't go into the Jalen Phillips thing, but I feel like Jalen Phillips is a factor in the reason why those 3 players, or at least Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith, have come back and come in and had such impacts, because the combination of all the additions of Jalen Phillips and Nolan Smith come back from injury, Nakobe Dean, it just felt like things clicked really quickly, and that's exactly what you need when you have a brand new player. And like I said, Nakobe Dean coming back, we weren't sure what player we were going to back. We weren't even going to be sure if he was going to be coming back at all. There's so many question marks. But man, what a game with those stats that you mentioned: 7 tackles and the sack and the QB hit. It just felt like he was in it. He was in amongst it. He was not, nursing a rehab. He wasn't sort of protecting himself. He was like, he's ready. He's back. Nolan Smith again had a massive impact in the game with a sack and a couple of QB hits as well. Again, Brandon Graham chipping in towards the end of the game. I'm not sure if he was in the first sort of half. It felt like he was maybe being kept out a little bit, but that combined with Jalen Phillips, I feel like the defense is sort of shored up in the right positions. Remains to be seen about cornerback 2, although we had Adoree Jackson have a slightly decent game.
Hey, props to Adoree Jackson, Phil. I think
he had a decent game.
He didn't start the game well. Like literally the first play, he was burned, and then I remember turning around and going, "Oh, Adoree Jackson again." But you got to give him his dues.
It feels like that number 8 is now got a target on its back, and every time you see it, you're like, you get a bit nervous. But he had a good game. It felt like it was like it got kind of laughed at a little bit, saying this is a very much a defensive game. Yeah, it was obvious to see, but it's kind of stating it for the fact that, like, yes, it was low scoring, but you didn't really ever feel like the game was going to get out of hand at any point, even if Green Bay maybe had scored the first touchdown.
Yeah, a lot of people said that to me. Everyone felt like we were going to win, even though it was that tight.
It's just one of those things where it's going to be a tight game. It could go either way, but you kind of didn't feel overly worried. Whereas, you could be 2. We've been in games where we've been 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns clear, and we've lost momentum, resolve, and it's got more. I've been more nervous in those games than I was in this game. It was purely more being up at 3 3:30 in the morning and going, "Is this game?" I think
it was just one of those games, wasn't it? Like these games happen during a season where the offense just click. And can we just take a second to say that Dallas defense played really fucking well? Like they played good defense. Like it's not always bad offense. They played really good defense.
No, and I generally think the biggest fear I had of the night was being the fact that we were only a field goal away. And yes, they had to go all the way down the field, but it's like any time a late game has a high chance of going to overtime, you just get this pit in your stomach. You're like, my God, I don't know what I would rather right now, overtime or defeat.
I think I remember seeing that on the chat. I think I remember seeing someone, maybe you saying, I think I'd rather defeat now than overtime.
Yeah, I've got to get up. But yeah, no, the defense is definitely in a strong position. And I think that gives you huge confidence because of the issues that we have on offense. We know that we're never going to be steamrolled out of a game before we can get our foothold. Like the defense has given us a chance to sort ourselves out, like it did last year at times, and hopefully we'll crack on. And the Lions game is going to be a big test to see if we can continue that in the offense. If the offense picks itself up with that defense, then we're going to be really making a statement to the league that we're back up.
This is it. We're going to get to that in a minute. We're going to have to do it rapidly. But so let's get to that in a second. Quick shout out to Devontae Smith. We've already talked about him. 4 catches for 69 yards. But that clutch touchdown was just great from Jalen and great from Devontae. Continue to do your thing, Slim Reaper. We touched on him a couple of times. The damn rat sexy is 100% Jalen Phillips. We'll give the Luck Lomond play of the week to Smitty for the touchdown catch. Would that be fair to say, or have you got a different one you want to give a shout out to, Phil?
Well, yeah, I was trying to find Luck Lomond, but to be honest, I didn't want to watch the game back because I didn't want to sit through 3/4 of nothing. And the obvious ones are the Saquon run, shortly followed by the Smitty touchdown. But I felt like that was disingenuous since we were focusing on the defense so much. So I've managed to find one of the fumbles that came in the fourth quarter, which was the reason why we got the ball back and we had the strong chance to win, even though we managed to do our best to mess it up, was the Jalen Phillips Reed Blankenship forced fumble, which was recovered by Reed Blankenship with about a minute and a half on the clock when we got the ball back in Green Bay territory.
And I feel like that. Yeah.
And I feel like that was a quite key pivotal moment. So I think in the spirit of it being a very defensive game and defensive awarded podcast, I feel like it makes sense to go for one of the defensive plays. And I think that one, if anything, there was another fumble early in the game, but I feel like the later in the game it is, and in that moment, definitely play of the game.
Oh, let's give it to Reed because Jalen Phillips is getting the damn right sexy award. And so shout out to Reed Blankenship. Well done, buddy. Jalen Phillips, 6 tackles, 4 solo, 1 tackle for loss, 2 QB hits, 1 fumble recovery, made an impact on every single play, loads of pressure. He led the team in pressures. He might have led the NFC in pressures. I think I might have seen this week. Will we see this every week is the main question mark you put down here. Absolutely bucket. We are going to see this every week. Jalen Phillips. I've said it on the podcast last week. It feels like the Saquon Barkley trade. It feels like way bigger than the rest of the league thought. You could tell by his interviews how happy he is, how excited he is. He had that buzz before the game. He was everywhere, man. And what was it? I can't remember the name of the place that Vic Fangio said he was shopping in, but there was an interview with Vic Fangio this week where for our UK listeners, I'll give it a different example. He basically said, well, when you shop in Asda, you know what you get, but when you shop in Waitrose, you really know what you get. Right? That's the kind of comparison I'm going to give it. Because he knew what we were getting with Jalen Phillips, and you can see how excited he is. Right, Phil, with the last 5 minutes of the podcast, and then I'm going to have to sprint to get my hair cut. Let's talk about the Lions. The Lions, look, they have been knocking on the door of a Super Bowl win for the last few years. They are a well-coached team. I like Dan Campbell. I like the Detroit Lions. Let me put that on record. I like the Detroit Lions. One of my best friends is a Detroit Lions fan. You've met him before, Phil. Mr. Andrew Coates was texting me today. He actually sent me the screenshot of the injury report with all of the did not practices and the outs and the limited. They are suffering a lot with injuries this weekend. The weather will be a factor. It's going to be windy. It's going to be loud at the link. and the weather is going to definitely play a part. Quick shout out if you're watching. This is one of the games where you will see the eagle fly around the stadium to start the game. So hopefully that's a good omen. Katie let me know that earlier on today. It's one of her favorite parts of every Eagles game. And look, they've got an incredible team, Phil. They've got the wide receiver 1-2 punch. They're fast. They've got the running back 1-2 punch. They've got Laporta, albeit Laporta's out. I believe they've got a very good offensive line. Their defensive line is good. Dan Campbell's taking offensive play calling duties away, and they put up 555 yards last week. Sirianni, you might need to do the same. So yeah, look, this is the game where we find out if the Eagles have what it takes to win the Super Bowl. For me, this is the most important game of the year. I don't think there's a bigger game between now and the end of the season. The Bills, sure, but that's later. It's already going to be decided if we're through to the playoffs and how we're playing or not, and we're away, so you could easily lose that game to the Bills. But we're at home to the Detroit Lions, one of the best teams in the league. How this offense plays, how this defense plays, how we play complementary football. For me, if we come out with a win against the Lions on Monday, whatever the win looks like, if we come out with a win, the Eagles will go to the Super Bowl this year. I am 100% confident on that. Phil, what's your thought process here? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, slightly less confident than the Packers game, and given how the offense fared against the Packers, I'm not going to lie, it very much is hard to make a call. I think the Eagles are capable of beating the Lions for sure, especially at home, and I think they will ultimately. I feel like I'm definitely going to side on this, on the fact
you're on the fence. It's all right.
No, but I'm happy to say that I think that the Eagles are going to win. I just don't know how close or how difficult it's going to be because, like I said earlier, if the offense plays up to where it can play and where it should be playing, and the defense maintains it, then it's no question we're going to absolutely steamroll them because coming up against a good defense, they will struggle. Goff will struggle in the link. There's no question about it. They'll be good, and it's not going to be easy by any means. But if the offense struggles and we're relying on our defense to keep a dominant Lions offense to a low-scoring game, then we're asking an awful lot. And I think that's ultimately where my big worry concerns and everything lies. Is the offense, which offense turns up, and that's literally going to be where it's decided. If the offense doesn't turn up, I'm going to be seriously worried. The defense is not superhuman. It will get beaten if it's pummeled for 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And just on that, and talking about the health, by the way, hilarious comment in the chat. In Detroit injury report presented by Henry Ford Health. Not a good look. Advertising for Henry Ford Health. So shout out to the hilarious comment by Joe Mobbs on the group chat. Their offensive line is banged up. You've got here we go. We got Penei Sewell, questionable ankle. We got Taylor. We got Taylor Decker and Miles Fraser, both also questionable. We got in the secondary, we got Kirby Joseph and Terron Arnold, cornerback and safety out. Sam Laporta out, tight end. Josh Pascal, I don't know much about Josh Pascal, to be honest. Edge out. Marcus Davenport, edge, questionable. Brock Wright, tight end, questionable. Vaikai, running back, questionable, probably wasn't going to make much of an impact. Jacob Sailors, running back, questionable, probably won't make much of an impact. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 starters questionable and 4 starters out, alongside everyone else who is already out. Phil, that's all I've got time for. Do you want a few more minutes to wrap up, or do you want to call it there?
No. Let's do it. We'll squeeze it in. Let's get out.
Yeah, so apologies for anyone listening to the first 5 minutes of this podcast. So it's fumbling through without no Phil. We hope you've enjoyed the last 30 minutes, and we hope you enjoy the Sunday night game. Phil, you staying up?
I probably won't be able to for once because I have a busy Monday, but we'll see.
Well, I'll make sure that your WhatsApp is flooded with messages for you to wake up to in the morning.
Appreciate it.
If
I won't read them until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but I'll have my phone on silent.
Maybe I won't do that then. Everyone else listening in, I hope you have a great time wherever you're watching around the world, in Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales, across different continents and here in the US if you are here. It's going to be a great night. I'm going to be there with Katie and Mr. Tony Brewerton as well. Looking forward to seeing Tony tomorrow and on Sunday for some tailgating. If you're around and you're going to the game, please drop me a message on social media or text me if you have my number. If you want to meet up for a beer before the game, let me know. We are the British and Irish Eagles. The Eagles go into what is the most important game of the season so far against the dominant Detroit Lions, well-coached, well-run, and talented team. This could be the turning point for this season. This could be the deciding factor whether this is a season where the Birds are going to run it back or whether they're going to limp into the playoffs. We shall see. Enjoy the game. We're Philly Sports International. We're the British and Irish Eagles. Shout out to Loch Lomond Whiskies and also to Passion Avenue. Nothing else to say but go Birds.
Go Birds.